seems to teach your team lessons, and they threw a lot of pitches at us, and I think we're a better team at the end of the series than we were at the beginning, and that's a credit to them. So just a tip of the hat to them, deep respect.
Go ahead, Tim.
Can you elaborate on what the lessons are that you guys learned in the series?
Yeah, I think the pitches of, a lot of mixing defenses, that's about as aggressively as we've been double teamed out on the floor in a while. I mean, certainly in a playoff series. It was similar to like Denver playing that much zone in a playoff series a year ago. And it really had us having to sharpen our attacks, but I thought we did a great job of that. I thought tonight, down the stretch, we had some big-time plays out of those traps. We had a dunk for Chet. We had another one, the go-ahead basket for Chet. AJ had a wide-open three. There was a great attack. I just thought we showed great, execution of that. So I think we're a lot better in that area than we were coming into the series.
Mark, Shai and Chet kind of took you home late. That first 6 minutes of the fourth quarter, I think 13 of your 15 points came from the two second-year guys, AJ and Jared. What did you make of that stretch of the game? Just how much was hanging in the balance there for you all to stay attached?
Yeah, big-time shot-making by those guys, and I thought Caruso's shots in the first quarter really kept us afloat at a time where we weren't great. So it always helps. I thought the team, we didn't play great tonight. It's probably our worst execution game of the playoffs. But when you're down by 3, it doesn't matter how you get there. When you're tied with 5 to go or whatever, it doesn't matter how you get there. You just got to be present and play out the rest of the game with your best punch. And I thought we did a nice job of that tonight. I thought the last 6 minutes of the game was our best 6 minutes, save for the beginning of the second quarter. We kind of put everything else behind us and went in and got the game.
Mark, assuming my math is right, you guys are the 14th team since 1980 to sweep the first 2 rounds of a playoff run. What's sort of been most difficult about closing both these teams out in 4 games flat?
Winning 8 playoff games is really hard. Winning a playoff game is really hard. It requires unbelievable effort and focus and execution and connectedness. And we've been very, very good. I thought, like I said tonight, I thought we had more lapses tonight than we had in previous games. So we have to learn from that, obviously. We have to play better in more of the 48 minutes. But I also think, the wind's going to be in your face in the playoff game for different reasons at different times, and you've got to be able to recenter. And I thought we did that exceptionally well tonight.
Yeah, just a quick second one. I don't know if you know this, but I think LeBron is like 3 months older than you, and yet in this series you have to scheme for him. Like on 1A, you still have to limit him the same way. I guess, did he add any perspective to what you guys are doing, and can you just describe the challenge of still having to scheme against that guy?
Yeah, I said before the series, what he's doing at this stage of his career is remarkable. Just the fact that he's playing at this stage of his career is remarkable. The level he's able to get to at this stage is unbelievable. And he is a guy that, similar to what I said about the team collectively, it's like if you make a mistake on him, he's going to make you pay for it. And it actually helps you improve. Like you're a better team. He's like developing your team because any crack, he's going to find it. And, he's not the only player. We've played against the great players in a playoff series do that to you. They sharpen your blade. But the fact that he can do it at this stage of his career, even just the first 5 minutes of game 1, was a great model for how you start a series, And so I just have the deepest respect for him, obviously. His career speaks for itself. But being up close and competing against him was a privilege. And like I said, deep respect for him and the rest of the team.
Shai's still been able to be impactful this whole series, even when he wasn't putting up his usual point totals. But tonight it looked more like the average in that department. Just can you kind of speak to what this game says about his persistence, his problem solving?
Yeah, and I think the counting stats can get in the way of recognizing that there's different ways to have heavy impact. And, let's talk about the double teams. It's like we offensive rebounded early in the series way more than we normally do. A lot of that has to do with them being off our body. They're off our body because they're doubling him. So it's like he's contributing to offensive rebounding. Everybody else on the team is playing at advantage when 2 guys are on him and the ball comes out. So the confidence and the aggressiveness that those guys were able to establish early in the series that certainly showed up for us tonight, that's a result, downstream effect of the double teams. And then I think, the Lakers were playing a scheme that required a lot of energy. And if you look at the way that we performed in the second halves of games in this series, I think there was a fatigue factor to that. Some of that's our depth, but the other part of that is they were running around defensively. And why are they running around? Because they're double teaming him. And so I think you look down and you see 18 points or 22 points, and it's easy to rush to a conclusion on that. But if you are really evaluating total and global impact, even with 18 points, the domino effect of the double teams are huge. And him not fighting the game in those situations reeled back the double teams, and then he kind of hid in the grass. And then tonight, he went and closed that thing. So, remarkable poise and maturity by him. But I wanted to point that out because impact takes on different faces, and his impact was all 4 games.
Hey, Mark, you all got Jared in a trade for a reason, but what have been the keys for him to have such a comfort level with this group in a short amount of time?
I think it's the locker room. I think our locker room puts the wind at everybody's back. It's a locker room that accepts you for who you are, encourages you to be who you are, encourages you to play with confidence, encourages you to play through mistakes. And when it's a young player like Jared that is still trying to establish himself, and he comes into a locker room that engulfs him like that, it allows him to play at the top end of what he's capable of. And great mental toughness by him. He didn't play much in the Phoenix series, and then he came out in this series and changed 3 of the 4 games pretty much, including the fourth quarter tonight. So his confidence is impressive, but I do think the team gets an assist on that.
Speaking of McCain, your guys' overall three-point versatility, you have guys who can shoot it off the dribble, guys off the catch, off movement, off DHOs. How important is the versatility that he provides as a three-point shooter who can really do anything you need him to do?
Yeah, I mean, the pace of the game kind of gets stirred up when he's out there, so he doesn't only, shoot the ball, but he kind of alters the pace, of the game. And I think if you look at the way that unit performed in this series, we seem to have another gear offensively when they were out there together, and some of that is him, and some of that's obviously A.J. Hartenstein, the way they move around. But, and then he's got the shooting gravity, so he was huge tonight, and he held up defensively in a way that allows us to keep him on the floor for large portions of the stretch of that game.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Mark.
We've got more post-game sound coming your way after the break. Have we seen the last of LeBron in a Lakers uniform? We'll hear from King James and more after the break.
Oh, my.